No, they were, women are funny and men are funny. Ask a woman, they'll tell you men are weird, and you ask a man, they'll say women are strange. But I like women. I'm okay with women. They're challenging. But
are you a tough guy to be in a relationship with?
I don't know. I mean,
I think you're eccentric. Right?
I don't think so. Howard. I don't think I'm eccentric.
Well, we read these things every once in a while about you in a golf cart.
You can't believe what you win. You can't believe what you hear in the paper all the time.
All right, but let me understand something.
I think I'm a barrel of monkeys.
Like I had Ron Howard in here. Okay, this is an example of where you get the reputation of being difficult. Ron Howard's in here. We're talking about movies and stuff. And there was this story about how you had a script that you loved.
Yeah.
You went to Ron Howard and you said, Ron, I want you to direct this script.
And this would come back to haunt me. Yeah, go on.
No, and he read it and he said, Bill, it's not for me. I don't want to direct this film. And you were so upset with him that it's completely ruined your relationship with Ron Howard. True or false?
Well, false, because I never really had a relationship with Ron Howard.
Oh.
But I liked his movie. I think he made a movie called Eat My Dust or something like that. He directed, or Jackson County Line or something like that.
Right.
He directed a movie, and I thought, hey, that's good. That's pretty good. He can do this. So I went with him with this movie called Quick Change.
Right.
Which is a movie we ended up shooting in New York. And I said, why don't you do this? And he said, I don't get it. There's no one to root for. And I thought, that's the craziest Hollywood jive ever. I mean, and I shouldn't say jive, but that's like a term that doesn't spring from any place.
Right.
For me, and I just thought, well, that didn't make any sense to me. And I was chagrined to hear that, because if like guys driving fast on dirt roads is somebody to root for, and this one wasn't, I think I can compare them.
All right, but it's fair to say
I like him, and he's a nice person.
Yes, and it's fair to say that
I enjoyed him in The Shootist with John Wayne too.
Yes.
He's had a very long and very successful career.
But
Bill,
that
was just an instant. It was a moment.
But it is fair to say that someone might not get the script. For whatever reason, it wasn't his cup of tea.
Well, yeah, but it was what he said.
You felt it was.
It wasn't like I got a pass on it. It was like there's no one to root for, and that was just the one that was just landed funny. It was like a boomerang inside of your mouth.
So you have to be careful what you say to Bill Murray. Like if I was hanging out with you, you will evaluate me because you can detect horseshit when you hear it.
Well, everyone thinks they can.
I see.
Now, do you remember the one time we were photographed together?
I have it hanging on my wall.
That's hilarious. And the third person in the picture is
Governor Cuomo.
I tell that to people, they can't believe it.
This was the craziest thing.
It was a Live at 5 moment,
I was so nervous. I was Live at 5, which is a local NBC show in New York. It's the news show. And the guests that day were me. It was then Governor Cuomo.
Yeah, he was the governor at the time.
And Bill Murray. And I was so nervous because for some reason I've always felt that Bill Murray hated me. I don't know why. I don't have anything to base it on, Bill. But for some reason, I got very intimidated. Number one, I admire him greatly. And Governor Cuomo, I was sure didn't like me. And then all of a sudden we took a picture, but you didn't seem to be thrilled to be taking the picture. The governor didn't seem to be thrilled, and I was a nervous wreck. Do you detect, was there a problem with me between us?
No, we don't have a problem, Howard. I just want to remind you that when we posed for the picture, the guy who was the most uncomfortable was Cuomo, and when it first was set up, it was left to right. It was myself, and then you, and then Mario, and Mario actually said, "Here, Bill, you get in the middle."
Right, I do remember that. That's true. He didn't want to stand next to him.
Right, he needed something.
Yeah, that was very well. Now you know.
Buffer.
Well, Bill, now you know my life.
It was everything I could do to hold it together because I thought, this guy is a master.
Howard,
yeah.
Do you remember what happened? So it was Mario Cuomo, Bill, and you. Yeah. And Jerry Knappman walked by. Do you remember what he said?
No, what did he say?
He goes, "The decline of Western civilization."
Bill, is it true? And I want to, there's a reason Bill's calling in, and I'm going to get to that, but I have so many questions. Can you hang with me a little bit?
All right.
Okay. Is it true that there is a GhostBusters 3 and you're the problem? You will not sign off on this? Do you know about this?
Yeah, I guess I'm the problem. Before I was an asset. Now I'm a problem. There's a script somewhere over there. Over there, there's a script, and I haven't read it yet. but there.
Why haven't you read it? Because you think that that's a bullshit idea. That, in other words, Ghostbusters had its time, and you did a remarkable job with that, and now you've moved on.
There's a little bit of that. I only made one sequel, and it was Ghostbusters 2, and it didn't end up. Pardon me. It didn't end up the way it was presented. About 5 years after we did the first one, the clever agents got us all together in a room, and we really are funny together. I mean, they are funny people, Harold and Danny and myself, and it was Ivan and maybe one or two other people, and we were just really kind of blindingly funny for about an hour or so, and the agents there was just foam coming off of them, and so we, they had this pitch, and Danny and Harold had already, concocted some sort of, story idea. And It was a story, and it was a good story. I think I'd even already read one or two that Danny had rolled out before that, but this one was a good one. I said, okay, we could do that one. And it was just kind of fun to have all of us together. And, there's some really, Rick Moranis and Annie Potts. These people are they're sterling people to begin with.
So how do you go back and really make another? Does Ivan want to make that film?
Yeah, Ivan wants to make it, and he's I owe him he's puzzled that I haven't gotten to this one.
How long has it been sitting on your desk, this script for Ghostbusters?
Well, it may not be on the desk. It's over there somewhere. It's how long?
Yeah,
I don't know.
So you're never.
So you
read
have
it.
no interest.
Well, I'll get to. I got to get to. I feel badly. I got a message that, and I think people. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. It's not like the foremost thing in my mind right now. So I don't think about it. But it's. The studio gets excited about it every 10 years or so, or it seems like, and they get rid of it because what they'd really like to do is recreate the franchise.
Right.
I remember once upon a time it was going to be, and the new Ghostbusters will be Chris Rock, Chris Farley, and Chris Crane or Chris Kringle or someone. They had it together.
Is that a threat to you? In other words, do they try to threaten you by saying we're going to put together new Ghostbusters and therefore you guys will have to go do it? Is that the?
Well, it's not a threat. It's it's sort of businesslike. They'd like to keep it going. It's still an amazing. There are still kids today that watch this movie and love it. It's still very popular. So they still sell a lot of toys and everything. So
do you see the money from that? Are you a very wealthy guy?
Oh, I've been. I save.
Are you worth over $100 million?
I never think it's real nice to talk about money.
Why is that?
I'm okay though. My phone bill is paid and my rent's paid. And
where did the bulk of your money come from? After something like Saturday Night Live hits, you don't make a lot of money from Saturday Night Live.
Not any longer, no.
And I'm assuming
you have a limited. The residuals burn out very quickly on television.
So I'm assuming like even Ghostbusters, you probably had a crappy deal because you were new to the movies.
I wasn't that new, Howard. I never really had a crappy deal in the movies, except unless when you work with a friend.
Do you have the merchandising on Ghostbusters? Did you get a piece of that action?
Well, when you're part of something like that, it's all part of everything.
So that's where you made the big money. I'm thinking of some of the movies you've made that are quite incredible. I'm talking about Stripes, right?
Yes.
To me, one of the best. Do you make money? Is that where you made the bulk of your money?
Well, all actors that are in movies get paid.
Yeah, but
whenever they're on.
You know a lot of that money goes out the window.
Well, I know, but there are people that there are organizations that if you made a movie a long time ago and it's on TV, you get paid something for it.
I got a check just the other day.
If you make enough movies and you have an interest in it, you should be okay if you don't, start buying too many houses. Or
yeah, but you invest in stuff like, didn't you buy several minor league baseball teams?
Well, I'm in that business, yeah.
Is that a moneymaker?
Is that a good business?
That seems like a crummy business to me.
Well,
is it good?
It's the baseball business is a good business, Howard.
Oh,
is it really?
Yeah.
So you are a good businessman.
Well, I'm pretty good in my own business. I'm a pretty good businessman. Yeah.
Were you?
Who would think to invest in baseball?
Not me. What do I know? But he said Bill's really into sports.
He loves sports.
He loves it. Loves the golf. Loves all that. He's a real man. I'm such a woman.
Well, speaking of business, Howard, this brings up my question.
All right,
Are you still driving that Sterling?
A Sterling?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Weren't you, like, plugging the Sterling automobile relentlessly for a couple of years? I've always laughed about this because you would get on your show and talk about this car that you were driving. It's called a Sterling.
No,
Never.
that wasn't me. I don't know anything about cars.
Wait a minute.
He hardly drives.
I mean, I do read live commercials, so maybe that...
No. You had a Sterling. You remember?
I don't even know what it is.
It was an English car.
No.
And it was made on the same sort of chassis as a Honda.
Not me.
All right, we're going to do the research on this. I'm sure you'll be getting calls, but you used to plug this goofy car, and I used to laugh about
Really?
it.
Never.
This is
That was an advertisement.
automobile I've ever driven in
No,
my life.
Fred-
And I go like, what the hell is with this car?
Fred just told me it was an advertisement.
You were plugging this thing relentlessly.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
sure.
being
I mean,
paid.
that's the way I get paid. You know, it was crazy. I mean, it was probably a sponsor you're
So
talking.
you don't have you don't have one of these in a garage somewhere?
No,
You're kidding. You
no.
didn't have one in every color?
No, I don't even like to drive. I hate the whole thing.
Well, in New York, you don't need to drive so much, but it is the best place to drive.
The whole thing seems dangerous to me.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, are you an angry guy? For some reason, I feel like it's out there. First of all, you come from. You have 9 children in your family, right?
Oh, he's one of 9.
Yeah, one of 9. I feel like when you grow up in a family that large, you get very little attention.
Well, how many siblings did you have?
1.
Were you an only child?
No, I had 1 sibling.
Oh, okay.
No, seriously, wasn't it horrible to grow up around that many kids and not get the attention of your mother and father?
Well, people would say that's what the middle child syndrome is, that one ends up having to work hard,
Right.
to get some attention. So I had to work pretty hard to get some attention. You have to work pretty hard to get attention in a house with a lot of kids, period.
Are you in therapy?
No.
Have you ever had therapy?
Yeah, I got depressed once.
Yeah, I thought I remembered a bout of depression with you.
What were you depressed
Is that
about?
a joke? You remember
No,
the bout of depression
I
with me?
remember reading that Bill Murray suffers from depression.
You do?
I don't think so. But,
What happened when you went to the
suffer from
shrink?
depression. I basically worked my way through. It wasn't like a shrink. It was just, life just gets a little complicated sometimes, and
You mean with the broads?
well, with women, and you get.
Well, I'm being
it gets
Frank Sinatra.
complicated, and you have to figure out, what the hell. Why are you behaving this way?
Will you ever get married again, or are you completely turned off to marriage?
Well, I don't know if I'm completely turned off to anything, but I'm not in eHarmony.com. I'll tell you that.
How many times has he been married?
I don't even know. Bill, what's the story?
He has been married 2 times.
Oh, twice.
Oh.
You must have dated like a maniac, though. When you, during Saturday Night Live, was it one big sexual orgy? I'm talking about the groupies.
I'm surprised we ever went to work.
Are you serious?
No, there's a lot of work, but it was a different time then, and it was fun, and you have a lot of energy. You go around.
A lot of drugs?
And I never had a big drug thing particularly. No, I mean you can't most people when they say drugs they mean like cocaine and so forth. You can't be funny. It just destroys your timing.
And you would worry about that. In other words, you were like, hey, this is something...
far more important than... the cocaine, was not... It sort of makes you go real fast in neutral. Or real high in neutral, but it destroys your timing. And when they're written up on the wall, the comedians that ruin their lives and their timing by doing cocaine.
Was it your idea to be on Saturday Night Live to be the guy who, does the songs and sings, the
lounge singer?
The lounge singer. Was that your concept?
Well, I wasn't the first to sing, and
no, but you know what I mean.
It was something that I did a long time ago at Second City. I did it once, and there's a kind of a performer thing that's fun to do, and I like doing it. It turned out to be really a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, but I see tons of people imitating that bit. In other words, it's probably the most imitated comedy bit. everybody takes a song, like a rock song, and then starts to be the lounge singer. That's uniquely you. And whenever I see someone doing it, it disturbs me. I go, that's Bill Murray. You know, what is that?
Well, it's just